Yo, what's up, YouTube? This is Monday evening, going into Turbo Boost on the following morning in NA. So I figured I would make a video kind of talking about the process of what I'm going to do when I log in tomorrow. If you don't know what the Turbo Boost patch is, basically it introduces puzzled cartel chips, which are dinars. It makes Valor Stones Warbound transferable. It uncaps all crest. There's a bunch of other rules and kind of restrictions along with it. If you're curious about it, there's posts on Wowhead or whatever else. I'm not really going to go into depth of explaining what the patch is. There's plenty of resources out there. I'm more going to use this for the application of how I'm going to take advantage of the system, and as someone who has multiple high item level characters, what I'm planning to do with it. So I'll log on to let's log on to my druid first. So one of the restrictions on, there's kind of two key things. One is the restriction on what you're able to purchase with dinars. So if you want raid items on Mythic, you have to kill the Mythic boss. If you want Mythic plus items on Mythic track, you have to have all 12s done. So here is my druid. My druid has all 12s done, and I'm also 5 out of 8 Mythic. The one boss I haven't killed in the first 6 is Sprocket, but I've killed everything else up to Bandit. So basically, this character is going to log in and pick up the quest, which I think will be in the Great Vault area. There's like a goblin that gives you the Cartel Chips quest. And I think you just have to kill either 4 raid bosses or 4 time 4 keys or complete 4 keys, and then you will be able to spend your dinar. I am pretty much guaranteed going to be buying a Best in Slots or a House of Cards on Mythtrack. This character is a Boomkin. My guess is that it might be a Best in Slots, only because I think my trinkets are pretty good as is. I have a Heroic Moxie Jug, I have a Mythic Blazicon Wax, and I also have a Hero Track Energy Drink on this character. So I think it'll likely be a Best in Slots, but we'll see. I'll, of course, submit and everything else. So the other important thing, along with the Turbo Boost, is the Gilded achievement on your account. So my character is 673.75 unequipped, which would just be if I equipped a better ring. So I think if I'm using a veteran track Jaster Diamond that was Warbound, and then if I equip just a random 658 ring, I'm nearly 634. So what's going to happen with this character is I am going to use it to funnel the rest of my characters, and more specifically my Death Knight, which I would consider my actual main. So if you look at my character sheet, this is my alter ego add-on. These are all the VOTs that I'm going to do, and I've been done these for, a day or two now, basically. I did a 6 out of 8 Mythic Clear on my DK. I pugged 2 on my Druid, pugged 3 on my Paladin, pugged 2 on my Warrior, pugged 2 on my Warlock, and then did a bunch of keys just to fill out VOTs or whatever else. These characters all have quite similar eye levels, or at least these 3 do. However, my Druid has the ability to get the Gilded achievement the easiest. So the Gilded achievement isn't every single slot 675 or higher. It is your character's item level at 675 or higher. And I have not spent the Spark of Fortunes because I spent all my Gilded upgrading gear, because the difference in crafting a ring for me versus just filling out the rest of my gear, it was an overall DPS increase to just fill out the rest of my gear. So that's what I chose to do. So tomorrow, I'm going to open my vault. I'm either going to get a ring that I want, or I am going to craft a ring. I will transmute these crests into Gilded, and then I will craft a ring, which will then give me the Gilded achievement on my account. If you already have this, you don't have to worry about that, and you probably already know how it works. If you don't have this, and it's something that you can attain in the near future, what you should know about it is that the Gilded achievement works on a per slot basis on your entire account, which means that let's say on my Death Knight, I didn't have, let's say for the sake of argument, I get a Mythic House of Cards in Vault, and I upgrade it fully, and maybe my Death Knight doesn't have a Mythic slot trinket on either. They're just both hero track trinkets. If I have the Gilded achievement on my account, and this character has two 678 trinkets, my DK's trinkets will be able to upgrade at a discount up until 678. But then let's say the slots are reversed, where maybe my Death Knight has a 678 pair of gloves, and this Druid has 675. Going from 675 on the Druid to 678 will be discounted, so it kind of ping-pongs across your account. I don't know how to really explain or word that better, but basically it's, you get the achievement, and then it takes a per slot account-wide item level I guess scan, and then whatever your highest is on your account, everything else is discounted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to confirm the achievement on this Druid, and then use that to discount all of my other characters, and the one that I care about the most is my Death Knight, and I'll go over that in a second. So that's my general plan. I can guarantee this achievement tomorrow because I do have a leftover spark, and yeah, that's that. So now I'm going to log over to my Death Knight. The other thing that you need to know is that both Myth Track and Hero Track gear gets 2 additional slots to bump up. So they both get a total of 6 item levels higher. Because in the Hero Track, it's on the latter half of it, it will cost Gilded on both versions. So going from Mythic 6 to 8 is going to cost you 30 Gilded, and going from Heroic 6 to 8 is also going to cost 30 Gilded. So every single slot is going to cost you 30 Gilded crests if you don't have the achievement, which would mean if you calculate the Gilded crests you would need, let me pull up my sheet here really quickly. If you pull up your character sheet, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 item slots, and then weapons are either 15 if your character uses a two-hander, or I guess like a ranged weapon for hunters, or it is 16 if your characters use 2 weapon slots. So if you do 15 times 30, so 15 slots, 30 Gilded Crests to max out each, it's 450 total Gilded Crests, or again, if you use both slots, it's 480 total Gilded Crests. Being able to discount this across your account and ping pong it back and forth will obviously reduce that, because maybe rather than spending 30 on my glove slot, I might only have to spend 20, for example. So what I'm going to do is my DK, I basically didn't transmute crest the entire season. And I haven't gotten gear upgrades from my vault in quite a while. So I've been maxed on this character for probably like 3 weeks now, basically. I crafted a cloak recently, and other than that, the character has been pretty much maxed, and I haven't had anywhere to send my crest. So I have 75 Gilded saved up, and then I have all of these other crests to kind of transmute. So it's a 3-to-1 ratio to go from Rune to Gilded, and 3-to-1 to go from Carved to Rune, for example. So if you were to go up and down the board, this is 2 Gilded, so you want to get 2 Gilded. It is 3-to-1, 9-to-1, 27-to-1. So you're working in powers of 3 there. This is obviously also multiplied by 15, right? So it's not quite 3-to-1, it's 45 to 15, and then it is, what is that, 135 to 15, you know, so on and so forth. So I did the math over here, and I think I did this a couple of different times, so can ignore all of this because I did it here. So I have 75 Gilded right now. I have 675 Runed. If you divide that by 45, it divides evenly into 15. And then if you do 15 times 15, I have 225 Gilded Crests from transmuting the Runed. Now, when you go to Carved, it's 1.2k divided by 45 equals 27, and then there's some excess here. You can't do anything with this, because you can't do a partial transmute, so this 0.22 is waste. I can't do anything with it. It's just kind of sitting there. So then you do 27 times 15, and then you divide that by 45 because now this is the ruined. It's 405, so on and so forth. So out of each tier, I have 75 gilded. Then from ruined, I have 225 gilded. Then from carved, I have 135 gilded. And then from weathered, I have 30 gilded. So if you add all of these up, you do 75 plus 225 plus 135 plus 30. My DK has 465 gilded, logging in tomorrow as is, without doing a single piece of content. And since I'm a two-handed class, I'm actually 15 gilded crests over what I would need. So basically, I am going to max out this character sheet tomorrow, no matter what I get, off the rip as soon as I log in. And the benefit of that, and being able to use the achievement from my druid and my other characters, is that I'm going to go back and forth on my characters, and I am going to try to min-max the crest that I spend between these two characters. So since my gilded, since I have more gilded on my DK, even though I can confirm the achievement on my druid, because I have this many crests, I could also just spend all of my gilded on this character and then use that to discount my druid. I'm probably not going to play it that way because I want to be able to account for my DK getting future upgrades, whether it's crafting another piece next week or maybe I get upgrades in raid. I think this character will have more long-term potential, so I'll try to be a little bit more efficient on this. But you could choose to do that however you want. So that's pretty much the main strategy, is you try to get the 675 achievement, you try to transmute all of your crests that you can into gilded, and then you upgrade all of your gear. This character is also in a similar spot with my druid, where I'm almost guaranteed taking... I am taking an item off One Arm Bandit this week, no matter what. What I take depends on my vault, and maybe there's a chance I wait for re-clear in raid. Because we're gonna re-kill Bandit, and I'll be on this character, so maybe there's a chance one of these two items drop, and then I could dinar the other. So on and so forth. Or let's say my vault has an item for my DK from Bandit, so maybe, for example, it gave me a roulette wheel, right? And, like, let's say there's two items from Bandit in my vault, right? Maybe it's the belt and a roulette wheel. It would be nice to wait for a re-kill, and then use my dinar, use the re-kill, then use the vault. So I might run into a scenario like that, but as is, don't use this as advice for what you should do, because every character is going to be in a different spot. It's going to depend on what items you have access to and what items you currently have. For me, I have two trinkets that I like quite a bit. And because I already have a hero House of Cards, the Myth House of Cards is, of course, it's my long-term best in slot trinket and something that I value a lot. But since I already have a hero version, I don't think the upgrade is as big as getting best in slots because I don't have a max item level weapon. So not only am I gaining the stats and the proc the same way I would with like House of Cards, for example, I'm also gaining the raw weapon DPS, which this scenario would be a little bit different than my druid, right? Because I'm not swinging my freaking two-hander as my druid to do damage. Pretty much is all just the proc. So if on my druid the proc of the House of Cards is better than the best in slots, I would take the House of Cards. But I think on DK there's a pretty high chance that I will just be taking the best in slots tomorrow and then kind of calling it a day on that and then getting a pretty big eye level upgrade there. It's going to be a pretty crazy day because I'm like everything on my character sheet is going to go up 6 item levels on each slot. So I'm gaining 15 times 6, which is, let's do some math. Is that 90 eye level? 5 times 6 is 30. And then 10 times 6 is 60. Yeah, 90. I'm gaining 90 item levels across my character. And if you're also interested on how to calculate item level, this is also very useful. So like for my druid, for example, the reason I know a ring would give me the achievement, crafting a ring would give me the achievement, is you can calculate it based off of the amount of slots you have. So if you have a two-hander, you don't divide it by 15, it's still divided by 16 for your total character sheet. So if you were to do 90, which is the total item levels I'm going to get, and then divide that by 16. My character is going to go up 5.6 item levels total, which if I add that to here, boom, my character will be 678 tomorrow, roughly. It'll probably be a little bit higher because I will jump an extra 3 item levels from getting a better weapon. And then maybe I also get something on my vault. Like, for example, let's say I got the bandit belt out of my vault. That in itself is an extra 13 item level jump right here, right? So there's potential for it to go even higher. But this method would also be useful where on my druid, what is my druid? Will tell me exactly. I think my druid is like 672.75 or something like that. So it's 672.75. My ring is 645, right? So if I craft a ring at 675, I'm gaining 30 item levels, right? You divide that by 16. Here's how much I'm gaining, 1.875. If I changed the other ring on my character or whatever, it could go up a little more, but you get the point. I think I have to craft a 681 weapon on my druid, actually. So it'd be 681 minus 645. Then you divide that by 16. And then, yeah, I think that's correct, because then it would be 672.75, and then, boom, 675. I think that's how I get the achievement. That's how I arrived at the math. So yeah, hopefully all of that makes sense. There's a lot of technicality to it. At the end of the day, everyone's just gaining character strength, and there's a lot of different ways to go about it if you want to be hyper min-maxed like I am, because my brain is kind of hyper fixated or kind of programmed to work that way. Then that's kind of the things I've been thinking about. I've also saved up some crafting reagents, so I have like, I think in my mailbox I bought the materials I need to recraft. So I have, you know, some weaver cloth bolts, some marbled stone, and other stuff for my other stuff. I also bought 2 dust thread linings because I'm also going to swap off my embellishments. Because I'm planning on taking a best in slots, I'm going to no longer have ascendants. And then I'm also going to move my embellishments to my cloak and my bracers because they're long-term bis, whereas eventually I hopefully get the theater pants on Myth Track. So I'm going to take the embellishment off of my legs, put them onto my bracers and my cloak, and then recraft everything up to 678, or I'm sorry, 681 from 675. If you're wondering how to do that, the same vendor over here that sells you the Gilded Undermine Crest, there's just going to be another like augmentation matrix or something like that. I forget the name of it. And it will give you another 6 item levels, but it costs you 30 Gilded Crest to do it, and it'll have another slot here when you do a recrafting order. You'll do recrafting, you'll put in your neck, whatever, and then you can put an embellishment thing, and then I believe there's going to be either another slot or it's going to have this plus the augmentation rune or something like that over here. When you provide additional reagents, then you'll be able to bump up the item level.
Return and peruse.
Another really big opportunity for this patch, by the way, and maybe something that will apply to a few of you depending on how your specs have been balanced, is that now that we're recrafting to a higher item level, it gives you the ability to recraft your gear without as much of a penalty. So if I was on my warrior, for example, I could recraft in general and change my stats, but it's kind of a pain in the ass to do that because it's just costing me materials and I'm not really going up item level. And if you're not sold on what spec you want to play, maybe you wouldn't want to do it. On my warrior, I was gearing it to play Fury earlier in the season, but now I'm playing Prod on it, and I've been having more fun on that. So what I'll probably do on this character is I don't even think I have the all 12s done on this character. So I'll get all 12s done. I'll probably get a Mythic Pacemaker, and then I have some gear here that is geared for Fury with like Mastery. I have way too much Mastery on this character. Prot almost wants 0 Mastery. So I have a Mastery Heavy ring here, and a Mastery Cloak. And I'm basically going to swap out all of these. I have 2 Sparks here, and because I'll be able to get the achievement, I'll just be able to transmute some crests. I'll recraft on the Cloak, and then I'll try to get different rings. The final thing I would say to consider crafting is obviously really good to get to 681 on these items, but also consider that if you're someone who's been playing since the start of your season and maybe your character is really geared, or you have a character that already has the achievement, which I still don't have, but maybe if you do have it, crafting actually becomes crest inefficient once you have the achievement, right? Because let's say I could either naturally upgrade a piece of gear to 684, or I could craft it to 681. It would actually be less expensive for me to just upgrade a mythic piece to 684 because I get that discounted 10 crests, assuming that I have another 684 piece on my account somewhere else, if that makes sense. So, like, I don't know if I have any slots that really fit that, but I have some obvious ones here on my warrior. Like, I have other characters with better higher item level necks, right? So this will be discounted. My shoulders are max eye level on both my DK and my druid. I'll be able to upgrade this at a discount, my chest at a discount, my bracers, like everything across the board will be discounted for me. And you'll just be able to take advantage of transmuting everything, and the game should just be fun to play. And hopefully that's the goal. I know that there's a lot of controversy, and some people are really bummed about the dinar limitation on Mythic raid loot. I still kind of think having some limitations are good in the game. Like, I think having some sort of player, I guess, achievement or the feeling of being able to, like, earn gear is good. But I think it's too raid focused. I think ideally Mythic Plus players had a better avenue to get Mythic raid gear. And I would even go further and say for Delve characters, like, I would love if I could buy a Mythic Trek energy drink, for example, on my DK. That would go so crazy. Like, I would genuinely consider using a dinar on a Mythic Trek energy drink before Best in Slots or Mythic House of Cards, like, because I could get those from raid, whereas the Mythic energy drink I would never be able to get otherwise. I think stuff like that should kind of exist. That's kind of neither here nor there. I will upload a Vault video tomorrow, and then I will also upload an additional video as I'm going through all of these steps and kind of doing it live. Just if people want to follow along with it and do that. But hopefully this video was helpful and kind of walk you through the thought process and helped simplify things, even though it's kind of complex. And yeah, wild gearing is crazy sometimes, I suppose. But anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow or today. I guess I'll upload this on Tuesday, and we'll see where it goes. Have a good one. Bye.